Hey, I want to welcome our viewers to Golfer Peak Golf Podcast. We've had a wonderful day of some golf. We haven't had it in a couple weeks, so it's a pleasure to have Troy Spencer in the studio with us. And Troy, he's a golfer, as I've announced. Troy, tell us who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll have some fun with the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Pete. Troy Spencer, I'm director of golf at Marietta Country Club, right here locally. Yes, I am a golfer. I tell folks I'm actually more of a shirt folder these days. But yeah, it's been great. I've been at Marietta Country Club. I took over after Stephen Kepler retired in October of 2022.
Right.
So 2023 has been a great year, and we're serving our membership, a big club of 1,200 folks at Marietta Country Club, and we've had a ball with it. So some great things happened for us in 2023, and we're looking forward to a great 2024.
Awesome. Now, you had big shoes to fill because I just know of him more than I know him personally.
Right.
But so what was the challenge like when you were moving into that role?
Yeah.
What was it like for our viewers to understand?
No, that's great. And you're right. Yes. I think, anytime someone has a tenure of 22 years, it's change, and change is hard for folks. I think some of the best advice that I was given from some of the best golf professionals in the country were, just your presence being there, just being there and standing on the first tee is already a change. That's already different. So without doing anything, implementing anything, any ideas, any strategy differences, your presence being there is already a change. And for some, that's more change than they're welcome for. But yeah, it's been great. Obviously, transition is hard. Transition is different. I'm not the same golf professional in good ways and in bad ways.
Right.
So we've had fun with just implementing some unique pitches, some things that I see, because at the end of the day, I'm still responsible for being the director of golf of the club, and I'm still responsible for pushing and advancing the programs at MCC forward. So regardless of whether that's popular or different, that's what I'm charged to do. So we've had a ball with it.
It's awesome. So take us back for our viewers. Like, how did you get in the golf business?
Yeah, for me, I came up in a golfing family. My father and grandfather, both plus handicaps my whole life, both really good amateur players, and on my grandfather's side, dabbled in the professional side. So golf was always something that I wanted to do. I tell folks I never wanted to be an astronaut or a firefighter. I wanted to play golf for a living, and all the decisions that I made through junior golf, through college golf, led me to want to play golf for a living. So I started there first, played all the way up through AJGA, junior golf, what have you, in North Carolina. Grew up in North Carolina. Played college golf at Seton Hall University, went up Big East and played. After 4 years, had a good career there. Was fortunate to get picked up and play professionally for 3 years all over the world. Some injuries here and there, some good breaks, bad breaks, just rub of the green. That's how we all come up in golf, but had a great professional career. Wouldn't change it for the world. Injuries aside, and ultimately knew when I got out from playing that I want to be a golf pro. I have a passion for people and a passion for the game, and always knew that to me that would never be work per se. Don't tell my board that. But I have a ball with what I do every day. I mean, it involves people. It involves a game I love, and a game this served my family well for a long time. So couple stops along the way, as golf pros do. I was in the Met section for a little while, New Jersey. Ultimately came back down to the South, God's country. But was at Sedgefield Country Club in Greensboro, where they host the Wyndham Championship. Rolling Hills Country Club right outside of Monroe, North Carolina. Charlotte Country Club, and then had professional at Myers Park right across town, and then ultimately here at Marietta Country Club. So been a long road.
Yeah. What would you say in your journey? Like, we have Lucas Mato. He's played at KSU, and so he got his master's, but then he decided to move into the business world. What was it like for you playing college golf, then going to the pro ranks and traveling and all?
Yeah.
What about that transition to making golf your living on a different capacity than just playing for golf?
Yeah, I think it's obviously an individual sport, and I think that your first challenge when you obviously try to strike out and play professionally is just being alone, right? I mean, you're living in airports and living out of a suitcase, and I think that it takes a lot of determination, it takes a lot of focus, and a lot of drive for that person, because typically they're a young person, 20, 21, 22 years old. And living on your own, being motivated on your own, traveling on your own, but still staying dedicated. That's tough. That's a hard thing to do. And some folks have the maturity for it and can succeed, and then others don't. I think transitioning from that to what I call the other side of the counter, right, where I'm at now, as a golf pro, I think you quickly have to move from that individual mindset to a team focus. I tell my staff each and every day, I mean, we can win as a team. You cannot win as an individual. You can lose as an individual.
Right.
And I think if you kind of isolate yourself out there on an island within the golf business, you're going to fail, and you're going to fail big. I think it's important to surround folks around you that are smarter than you. I'm not a smart guy. I grew up on a horse farm in North Carolina. I know a lot about what I don't know. So for us, I think it's important to surround yourself with smart people that are talented and really, really driven at their job and at their task. And then just let them do their thing. And, my job as director of golf is to keep us, in a team atmosphere pushing forward every day. So, yeah, I mean, it's a juggle, right? I mean, going from an individual sport now into a leadership position where you really got to stay dedicated as a team and not so much as an individual.
Yeah, those are wise insights. You mentioned 3 clubs that you came from. What did you pull from your experience working in those capacities to where you are today? I mean, you described some of them, but was there anything else particular that you pulled out of those positions?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I think that, for me, what I took along the way in my career, not so much the club, but the people. And the reason I say that is, I've been blessed to work for some unbelievable men and women in the golf business. And so from each of those stops, it's not so much what I took away from the club, because all clubs are different. And obviously, the membership size or the activity level or, the utilization of the golf course, they're all different. But I took from the leaders. I tried to take something from the people. Quick examples of that: Charlotte Country Club is a perfect example. I worked for Andrew Shuck at Charlotte Country Club, a huge leader in the world of golf, super aligned with USGA and running major championships. Andrew's a people person. He loves people. His memorization of names and birthdays and how he organized his calendar for his board members and his staff to pick up the phone and call them on their birthdays blew my mind. I just thought that was so cool. And if I could do that and incorporate a little bit of Andrew in terms of his love of people, that would be great. Right. Next stop into Myers Park Country Club, working for Eric Reeves. Eric is an unbelievable golf pro, and he's an operator. He is dedicated to the nuts and bolts of the operation and how to provide the best member experience possible. Not to say that he doesn't love people. He doesn't operate around people the same way Andrew does. So to take from different leaders and how they govern, how they lead, because there is no one way to make par, right?
Right.
I think that was super unique. And I would say on the club world side, the club manager side, I had a GM in Mark Beta for 3.5 years at Myers Park Country Club. And to me, there's no better GM in the United States in terms of just leadership and kind of just a collective focus than Mark Beto. He taught me what I knew about interacting with GMs, and I think it's helped me in my role at Marietta with Daniel Laterza. We've got a great one. He's awesome. So I think it's just taking pieces from people and trying to incorporate that. And listen, that's the good side, right? I mean, everyone who works underneath a leader will say, well, when I get my job, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to do the other thing. that in term is also leadership. That's also mentorship. So I've tried to incorporate all the good, and try to, eliminate some of the bad for my staff. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'd love to know what my staff would say in their roles 10, 15, 20 years down the road of how, maybe I imparted some wisdom on them.
Yeah, no, I think it's almost like parenting is you don't
Yeah.
find out until many years later
Sure.
the impact you had on your kids. And
Sure.
I'm sure your team hears the same thing.
Yeah.
So what if a person is like thinking about a career in golf, what would you tell them today that you have learned over your years and your journey?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and it's going to sound like a brag, and I certainly don't mean it that way. I think that, work ethic is something that most people say they have, and few really do. In terms of what the job asks for, it is not 9 to 5. The golf world is not 9 to 5. It's sunlight to dark, and in most cases in the summertime, I mean it's not a 40-hour work week. And that's not to say that, people can't have a life and that they can't, have a family and that they can't have other responsibilities. But what it is to say is that it's a long day. It's a long road. And it takes a lot to be successful. I think it takes the intangible pieces of, being able to read the room, being able to see a need, to being able to be a servant leader, but from a proactive position, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You've got to be able to see ahead of what someone might need, and then be able to delicately ask the question, to be able to help that person. So got to have a servant's heart. There's no doubt about it. I mean, look, there are days where I get up like anyone else and, golly, I don't want to do anything for anybody. Right. But you got to turn it on, in the club world and in the golf world. I think you have to be able to push and to serve and to stay on for as long as you can. So it definitely, I think work ethic would definitely be number one. The second, and really probably should have put it first, is love of the game. I tell my folks on my team all the time, if you're going to be selling insurance in 4 or 5 years, you're not for me. Folks that get out of the golf business for whatever it might be, for money, for time, for lack of mentorship or lack of interest. I want our folks to love the game of golf. And I think the best, metric for that is when they go play on their own.
Right.
I've got 2 guys, my right and left hand, Brian Lefevre and Eric Crew are my 2 leaders on our team. And, those guys play 9 holes every day. And it's good for me. It's good for me to see, because they push me to get out and practice and play. I still play a lot of tournament golf.
Yeah.
But to see those guys playing golf on their own, unprovoked, every day, I feel like I'm in good hands, because those 2 men love the game of golf. And if you don't love golf, what are we doing? I think you need to do something else. So.
No, I love that. I love that you share that with our viewers, because it is important that you don't get disconnected to your occupation, because it's easy to get working. And then all of a sudden you hadn't played in a month and you're going like you're in the business.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's easy to get separated.
No.
So when you're not like working, what do you like to do for fun? Like, what is your like they always talk about the golfer that's a fisherman, different thing. What do you like to do that's not golf related?
Yeah, honestly, taking my own advice, I play a ton. I love to play. I mean, it's not a chore. I played with 2 of our members yesterday, and I mean, how gross it was outside yesterday. I mean, 45 and raining. But they wanted to go, and so did I. Right. And I think golf is a huge part of that. I play a lot of tournament golf, travel all over the country, and still play a lot. In terms of representing our membership, I take pride in that. I want to put Marietta Country Club's logo on as many leaderboards as I possibly can. I think that's good exposure for our club. Outside of that, I mean, listen, I'm an outdoors guy. I'm a Southeast guy. I've been here my whole life. I hunt, I fish. I like to be outside. My wife Lex and I have a red heeler with more energy than both of us combined. So we like to get him out and about, and anything outdoors, for me is really key. I think that's just kind of where my energy comes from. But you're right. You have to unplug as much as you can. And truthfully, some of my unplugging comes in the form of playing a couple holes. So
Yeah.
I'm a nerd, I'm a golf nerd.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's I didn't play for a couple years, and I went on a trip this past weekend, and played 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
And I told my guys, I said,
"Did you go to Florida, right?"
Yes,
Yeah.
Tampa, and it was like the bug is coming back
real.
when you just I made a 15-footer on the last hole, and it was like, man, I now, because when you remove yourself, because I grew up with a friend who's down in Melbourne, and he had back issues, so he stopped playing. And I my thought was always, and I'd say, have you played any? And he'd go, no.
Right.
How can you not want to play? Because you have that bug and you want to play whenever.
Yep.
But if you remove yourself for a couple of years, it does definitely, the bug gets out of you.
That's right. No,
and so, what would you say, where has golf taken you as far as memorable golf courses that you've played that our viewers may be able to relate to?
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I mean, I'll go back to quickly just to the start of my college career is a perfect example of this. Like I mentioned, I mean, I grew up in North Carolina. I'm a South boy. And I'd never been to New York ever. I've never been to New York. I mean, I've seen pictures and this and that, and never played any golf in the Northeast. So I get a full scholarship to Seton Hall. It's a great golf program, top 50 in the country. And so here we go. And so, 17-year-old me goes to New York, New Jersey to get ready to play some golf and at the collegiate level. And the first week on campus, we had an off day, and one of my teammates said, "Hey, before school gets ramped up, we like to play a couple rounds. We're going to go play Baltusrol."
Wow.
And I said, "Well, where is that?" And he said, "It's 10 minutes up the road." And I said, "We're that close to Baltusrol?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, tomorrow we're going to play Plainfield." And I said, "I've heard of Plainfield. Where's Plainfield?" And he said, "It's like 20 minutes down the interstate the other way." And so, you've got Sleepy Hollow, you've got Plainfield, you've got Bethpage, you have Baltusrol, Ridgewood, Westchester. I had no idea. And it's not like I was brand new to the game. I've played, at 17, I played for 15 years. I mean, I played since I was 2.
Right.
So to just your awareness of golf courses and where they are, I had no idea how many top 100 golf courses were within 30 minutes of me at Seton Hall University. I had no idea, because you've heard of the name of the course.
Sure.
And you may have even heard of the city in some cases, but you don't put 2 and 2 together of where that is. So my college career was a blast. I mean, being able to play some of the most unbelievably exclusive private clubs that you and I both would kill to play.
Right.
Being able to play there day in and day out, I would say that exposure in terms of what I knew about a map was really cool. And then obviously at the professional level, I think you see the other side of that coin. I played PGA Tour Canada, PGA Tour Latin America, chasing it like everybody else. And I think you see the opposite, whether that's playing in a Dakotas Tour event or playing in a small city in South America that has a golf course, and your expectation level is like here. And you get there and you play the golf course and you go, "Oh my God, no one has ever heard of this place."
Yeah.
And it is remarkable. And the people that you meet along the way that care for those properties and those facilities. I think that's why you and I are both sitting here, right? It's because golf has taken us to places and introduced us to people that, keeps that little make a 15-footer, heart flutter alive, right?
Yeah, exactly. So our viewers always we have the people out there on the tour. Now the live tour. And so what would you say, were you able to, at Seton Hall or in your travels, were you able to play with any of those? Or if all of a sudden you called somebody, they go, "Oh, Troy," and pick a phone up. Is there any golfer that our golfers can relate to? That you've been able to have friends with?
I grew up in the era, kind of the modern day, if you will. I mean, it's my staff would disagree, but I'm not that old. I've played, with a lot of guys that are still currently playing, and you're right. Look, both on the PGA Tour side and the Live Golf side, which it's been crazy to follow how, a sport can become so fractured.
Yes.
Just over dollars and cents, not necessarily over an agenda or, over any initiative, but just over dollars and cents.
Mhm.
But a lot of my friends that still play and still play at a high level, both on the PJ Tour and the Live Tour, I stay in touch with. I mean, the major one that wouldn't mind me putting them on notice.
Yeah.
Harold Varner III.
Yeah.
I think the world of Harold.
Mhm.
He and I grew up playing against each other, junior golf, college golf,
Yeah.
and some professionally. And the reason that I can shout him out and include him is just as a person and as a friend. I think the world of the guy. I think he is one person I tease that. If money always changes people, and money's made him better. Because he's looked around the room and tried to find more opportunities to give back, whether that be with the HV3 Foundation or Youth on Course. What he's doing in North and South Carolina, giving young boys and girls access to golf for free, is incredible. And he's first through the wall there. So as a friend and someone who's helped with this foundation, I'm proud of him as a friend, and still love to play with him and mix it up a little bit when I can get him every now and again. And he's the one that tagged me with the shirt folder line. So that's a give back to him. But it's been cool to meet some really cool folks that play at a high level, and even more so the folks that don't make it.
Right.
The Corn Ferry Tour, the Latin America Tour, PGA Tour Canada, those courses, golf is never, ever in a better place than it is right now. I mean, the talent and the depth on those tours, there are hundreds of men and women every single year that don't get their card, that are unbelievably talented.
Yes.
So golf's in a great place, and I've been fortunate to meet some of those people.
Yeah, that, when you mentioned Harry Varner, my impression just from the outside, it's a guy that enjoys what he does. He's personable.
He loves it.
He just, it kind of like he shines.
Sure.
Because I've watched him on the Live, and and I just kind of, my version of the Live is I get to see more players than I ever did on the PGA telecast, because they tend to play just the people that are leading. So you got a chance to see other players that I never got to know. And I always thought, man, that's a guy that he's fun to be around.
That's right.
He enjoys what he's doing. And he just gives off the kind of personality that you'd want out there.
Oh, it's infectious, for sure.
To hear you say what he's doing with his foundation and opening up opportunities for golf, that's very encouraging to hear. So as we wind down, I always like to tell our viewers how they can get a hold of you, because we always like to know where we can get a hold of our guests.
Yeah, easiest way is just through our website, obviously MariettaCountryClub.org, and it's I would say yes, Marietta Country Club's a private club, but it's a community, and I think that they have been a leader in Cobb County, for years. So obviously I'm definitely accessible. My email address is first initial last name at MariettaCountryClub.org. Always happy to pick up the phone, and that's how we connected, right? Through members and just through the golf community. So always there to help if it's a golf pro or a young assistant, just looking for another perspective. I'm always reachable. So
we really appreciate that. We always like our guests, what would you like our viewers to take home as your parting insight thoughts? Would you like to share with us?
That's a great question. I love that you end that way. I think that's fantastic. I think, to me, just in not to get political, but to give the answer, I think that now more so than ever, I think it's just relationships, and it's just being kind to one another, right? I think it's having an understanding that in my world as a golf professional, we see folks from all backgrounds, all lifestyles, all asset levels, coming together just to play a game, just to chase a ball around and enjoy the outdoors. And I think it's important on the service side for myself and my staff, but it's also just important from golfer to golfer or person to person. Just to be kind to each other, right? Just to love on each other, and give an appreciation for where somebody comes from and where they want to go and how you can help them get there. So really, it's just to be kind and play another hole and never give up. Just keep going. I mean, you may make a couple bogeys in life, as we all have. But there's the 15-footer, right, from Tampa that you mentioned.
Yep.
15-footers right around the corner, right? And the more you miss, your percentages are going up. So that's what I would share.
Well, Troy, we want to thank you. I could be here all afternoon, but I know you have a job to do.
That's right.
And maybe you can come back. We'd love to, because I have about a bunch of questions I would want to ask you. And so we appreciate you sharing your golf journey with us and being here in our studio. So thank you so much, Troy, for your time and for sharing with us.
Thanks for all you do. This is incredible. Thanks for just the exposure that you're giving to folks out there all over golf and outside of golf. So thanks for all you do for our community. It means a lot.
It's my joy.